Hello and welcome to another edition of Community Forum. My name is Joseph Feaster. I'm the host of the program, and I so enjoy doing this program often because I have an opportunity to bring such great guests to you so that you can learn the exciting things that are going on in Stoughton, and particularly in Stoughton government. And today is no exception. I am pleased to have a dear friend, a colleague, a person with extraordinary skills. Is working as well, now the title has changed as the Human Services Director, but holding the positions both with the Public Health Visiting Nurses Association and having the youth services under her wing as well. And that's none other, those of you who have had your vaccination shots, you've gone in about medical issues, the person who you've spoken with, who heads up the staff that does a great job for the visiting nurses and now for the youth services, is Janiece Bruce. So with that, I want to welcome Janiece to the program today. So Janiece, welcome to Community Forum.
Well, thank you very much, Joseph. I'm glad to be here. I can't believe I feel like I haven't been in touch with SMAC for a while. We've been pretty busy at the public health office. Being a year into this pandemic, it's been quite a year.
Well, I sure it has been, but I'm going to harken back to some 8 to 9 years ago when I was there as the interim town manager, and you were in that office, and I think I had the good sense at that particular point in time to make you the director of that office, and I see that Robin has even expanded beyond that. So again, congratulations on your new title as the Human Services Director and for having responsibility for both of those departments. They couldn't be led by a better person.
Oh, thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about it. 2020 and even now has been such a extraordinary year. No one would have envisioned the fact we're now sitting in the Lent season. If I could get a little bit of religious about it, we're sitting in the Lent season, St. Patrick season. We're talking about Palm Sunday, Easter Sunday, and of course my birthday's in this time frame. So all of these religious events are taking place. Talk to me about how it has been to operate with both of your duties. I want you to tell folks what you do first and foremost, who you are, what the responsibilities are of the VNA, and what your responsibilities are as the having the youth services under you as well.
Right. Well, thank you. I'll try to encapsulate that as best I can. So I've been with the visiting nurses for 30 years. I came on as a part-time mother's hours RN over 30 years ago, and I got to know the VNA really well and members of our community. And it's always just been a passion of mine to help take care of people in Stoughton, and we do neighboring towns as well. But at the VNA, we provide skills services to people, and we do therapy, nursing visits, home health aid, social work. So we just try to take care of people's needs as best we can. So it was a natural fit when Robin had asked me a year ago if I would be interested in overseeing the Council on Aging and youth services as well. My experience with geriatric care and the older population, I felt very comfortable, even though I had a learning curve to get to know the Council on Aging. But I felt like a lot of the people that attend the COA are some of the same people that I've known for years in the community. So it kind of felt natural to be able to help over in that building, and with the staff and with the people that come to enjoy the Council on Aging activities. And then the youth services was something totally different. And I've thoroughly enjoyed getting to be familiar with youth services. It's been sort of a little shot of energy in my arm. I love our social workers are great, and they're right in with the rec department, and Matt Cauchon is doing an awesome job over there, and this year
And he
has been
recently just
challenging.
got an award or something,
He
some
did.
acknowledgement.
He
Yes.
got a great award as a young professional leader in with rec department. So he's doing a great job, he and Molly, and the challenges over at the COA with shutting down the building and trying to keep people still engaged, and also still running our normal transportation and doctor's appointments. And for the public health, that's been just a huge thing. We've been very involved step by step with the pandemic, trying to help people in the community. We're looking at the governor's guidances for mandates for and CDC guidance for what we should be doing, trying to take care of people in their homes, trying to keep our staff safe as they're going out into the homes. So it's been, none of us thought we would be here on the front lines of a pandemic when we were just doing our normal jobs.
And, and I don't know how I made this oversight, because I definitely would be a COA member. I don't know why I failed to mention that you had oversight of the Council of Aging as well. Those were my buddies over there that used to go to the council, over to the building during those times. So I don't know how I misplaced them. I guess I just hearkened towards the young folks at these times. But again, I'm glad to have you, that Robin had the foresight to put you in charge of all of those areas. I think that you are a tremendous leader. Well, let's talk about just the implementation of trying to deal with the dispensing of the vaccine. I know, because I pay attention to the reading. I see what you put in the shopper, or suburban shopper. I think that's the one that's in now. And you put the notices about vaccinations. And I've noticed that there was a announcement that vaccines were available, and then there was announcements that they weren't available because of, I suspect that you didn't get your requisite share of vaccines from the state. Talk about how it has been to try to implement this, Janiece. What have been the positives? What have been some of the problems? What types of things do you feel could be done better? And secondarily, how would you be able to make sure that we in Stoughton who need it? I've gotten my 2 vaccines. I'm done. I got my second one on Friday. So my wife and me, we're happy about that, but I know there's still people who have yet to be vaccinated.
Right. So we were all very excited when the vaccine that it was coming in January, and the state asked us to sign on to the process. And we were more than thrilled. We're very used to doing vaccine clinics because we always do the flu clinic. We did H1N1 clinics. So this is what we do. So we had envisioned doing really large clinics and really trying to get most of our town vaccinated. Well, what happened was the supply that was being sent to the state, even though they got the buy-in from the towns to be able to participate in vaccinating their communities, we soon realized that, the state soon realized that they didn't have enough vaccine to be able to take care of all the hospitals, the larger venues, and the states. They were sending out in like amounts of 100 in these cooler packs, which must have cost a fortune. They were like little mini refrigerators, 100 doses at a time to 351 communities to have them vaccinate. So I don't think it was working. I think our clinics were working really well. So we started off, we signed on, we decided we according to the guidelines, we started with our first responders. We gave them all their first and second shots, whoever wanted it. And that included fire, police, and some of our medical personnel in town that fell under those guidelines, physical therapists, court officers. So we did about 240 shots for first responders, first and second. And then it opened up to the 75 and older group, and we started with our clinics over at the Council on Aging, and we're still in the middle of doing our second shot clinic. So all in all, by the time this is all done, we will probably have administered about 1,000 first and second doses. But of course, that's not nearly enough for a community. And we feel the frustration of everybody that's wanting to get a shot. The people that I worry about the most are the people that maybe don't have kids or neighbors to help them navigate on a computer to try to find help. There is a number you can call 211. It's with the state. They will help you navigate a place to find a shot. But then it's like, do you have transportation? So all these things are coming up. Our phone lines, we set a dedicated line. We had 1,500 on the wait list for vaccinations, and it's just been too much to call everybody back. And I think some people have found since then other avenues, but it's been a tough rollout for people. There's been a lot of frustration. We are lucky that we're able to partner with our Stoughton Housing Authority, so we will be going into our elderly housing complexes this week to give those folks their shots. And we also will be giving our homebound seniors, people that really can't get out. We've signed on with the state to continue doing those vaccinations, because those people are just, they really have no access to get a vaccination.
So the state has allowed you to administer those, because I wasn't sure that was still in the protocol, that you would be able to do that in the homes, but they have allowed that.
Yes.
Is that an exception, Janiece, or is that a protocol that they're allowing throughout?
They asked us, I think they were encouraging us to be able to do it. The alternative is that they're going to have mobile units going around the state and administering, but nobody knows the homebound people better than we do, as far as a lot of them have been our patients. We're familiar with them, so it's easier for us just to be able to go out and give them their vaccination. It's just, again, we have some vaccines set aside for that, but we will also be waiting for more vaccines. So we just tell people to be patient. We just have a list we're working off of right now. Our homebound list is about 60. When we've started it already, we've already started giving the homebound, but we're doing the Moderna, which is 2 shots. And I think eventually the state will send us the Johnson & Johnson to make it easier to just do the 1 shot. So
was there any discussion possibly of combining, doing a regional approach? Was that ever discussed, like with Brockton and Avon and Sharon and Easton? And so the other question, are there other sites near here that people could access if they were able to get through on any one of those phone lines? Because I know they were doing the pharmacies as well. Are they in your network of possibilities for the dispensing of the vaccine?
Yes. So I know more vaccine is coming, and there are some CVSs that already are giving it. I know Easton, the CVS at Roche Brothers, has been doing appointments. I know Bridgewater. There are a number of CVSs, and that's what I'm telling people that may have a struggle to go to Gillette or Fenway, to wait for your CVS. They are supposed to open up some big regional sites in Brockton and Randolph, which certainly won't be too difficult for many people to get to. We partnered right off. We had to have a partner because you had to order so much vaccine in order to participate in the first responder group. So we did partner with Sharon. But they found it, once we got through the first responders, they found it, they weren't getting much vaccine either. There are a few collaborations out there. I believe Avon, Holbrook, Randolph, I believe, is in one group. I'm not sure if it's helping them get more vaccine, but I do think that we will be getting a lot more vaccine in the next few weeks. So I hope that we'll see a lot of sites opening up, more doctors' offices, more local, pharmacies. It would be nice if you went to Stop and Shop and you went to their pharmacy and got your vaccine at the same time. So we're just keeping a lookout for what people should know and trying to keep people informed and help guide them as best we can. And I do think that by May, we're going to see a lot more people having had better options.
For those who are not homebound, are you dispensing it at the COA at the facility? Is that where you're doing your vaccinations?
We are, except we know that once we get through these second doses, they're not sending us anymore because they just don't have enough supply, and they're trying to focus on the regional sites, the
Okay.
bigger regional sites.
So just I want to, because I do want to talk about the other two aspects of your responsibilities. We could spend all of the time that we have on the vaccines. And I thank you for the job that you and your staff, your nurses are doing in this. It has been a tough rollout. We know that from what's come across from the lack of any direction prior to January 20th. To being able to at least get some federal support now and trying to trickle through the states in order to get it done. So I still thank you and applaud you for what you are doing. Is there any information you would want folks to have with regards to what's going to happen here and now with regards to the vaccination, as far as any number you want to give them or what you anticipate, any direction you want to give them?
Right. Yes, I would, first of all, I would tell people to be patient. I do think it's going to get better. Last week, people were finding the website was crashing, the mass.gov website. If you don't have access to a computer to get on the mass.gov, and there's a VaxFinder link to see what kind of appointments you can get, the number 211, if you don't have that kind of computer assistance, or if you don't have a computer, call the number 211. They will take your information and they will call you back with appointments. So that is a good number to remember. We're just trying to keep people informed, and I think to not get discouraged because people start to get anxious that they haven't gotten it. But I really do think vaccine will be much more plentiful coming forward, and it will be easier.
Well, it would be great, hopefully, if you could send both the number and any other means of contact that you would want people to have, if you would send that to that great executive producer, Roy Cohen, so that when we do this program, they can put that information up, that would be much appreciated.
Sounds
so
good.
Let's spend a little bit of time about your other responsibilities. Now with the COVID, I'm sure that the senior center has not been open, et cetera. How are you interacting with the seniors? How are you interacting with the young people as far as to the youth component of that? What activities do you have for both? And we have about 10 minutes, so want to give as much time as I can for you to speak on both of those issues. So I'm just going to let you go without my interruption.
Okay. Yeah, so the Council on Aging, it was last spring that when everything shut down and we were by appointments only, the staff is at the Council on Aging, so every day they get a lot of calls. During this whole thing, once we got our protocols, our infection control protocols, we had to kind of rework how we were doing things. At first, nobody was going to the doctor's offices really because appointments were canceled. So it was very different. It gave us time to figure out what we were going to do. So once the appointment started again, and we were always doing shopping, but it was a huge deal. I mean, this is the most vulnerable population we're dealing with when you're talking seniors. So we wanted to be very, very careful to make sure we were following all the protocols. So we did things such as change up the number of rides we were doing to Stop and Shop, like Stop and Shop for grocery shopping would have their hours set for seniors, and we would only take a couple on a bus where we could distance them, masks, hand sanitizer. We weren't collecting money. It was just strict transportation. I give credit to our drivers. They're an older group themselves, and it was tricky to be, facing a population that was vulnerable, and they're vulnerable themselves. So we continued with transportation, shopping, and those kinds of things. And then we reached out as much as we could to people at home, trying to stay connected through newsletters, wellness checks. People could come by appointment if they had they wanted to meet with a social worker. They could make an appointment safely. They had, the setup was for distancing with plexiglass. So we still had outreach workers. We found that we did have people that it was tough for them. They felt very isolated. A lot of them didn't want workers in their house. If they were, I know even from the VNA, they would forego having services such as a homemaker or something. They just didn't want somebody in their house that could possibly bring in,
Sure.
COVID. So it was really trying to stay connected, make calls. A lot of the seniors would call the senior center just to touch base and talk. The staff there are wonderful. And as things kind of got better in the spring, we brought back some of the people that really enjoyed the lunch program on site. So we safely distanced them for a hot meal for an on-site lunch program. That went well until the fall when the second wave came, and then we stopped doing that for their safety. They understood that that's just what we had to do, but we've started that back up again, which is great. And I think with the good weather, we'll probably be looking at maybe doing some programming outside. We did do some programming with SMAC too. We had our regular fitness trainers. We did some filming, and people that normally didn't attend our exercise programs, they had chair exercise programs, balance exercise programs. We had a drawing class. I called it our senior series. We put it on SMAC so they could follow along at home, and a couple of people that never attended it said they found it interesting. They're familiar with these instructors. They could do it right from their house. So that's been pretty successful. And we have our Zumba person coming back to do it outside. So that's going to be starting up on Thursday. So I think as the better weather comes, we'll be able to, and more vaccinations out there, I think we'll start to see some more activity.
So how about our youth commission? I mean, in the sense of just, we have only a few minutes, but it just to give some highlights as to what your programming objectives and efforts have been relative to the youth during this critical time.
Right. Well, yes, the youth, in working with the schools, the youth have been really going through a lot of anxiety and stress. The parents are, and the kids being out of their normal routine are. So our two social workers are still with the Youth Commission doing counseling. It's been remote counseling, but they've had a lot of calls, and they've also put some programs together that they've shown, interactive programs on Zoom for parents and kids to be able to talk about mental health issues and just some of the concerns. And it's been just to be able to get feelings out and to be able to give them resources of where they can get help if you see that as a parent that your child is still not doing great, or what's normal, what's not normal. Just ways to help support kids and their parents. It's just been a stressful time. It'll be great to get kids back into school safely as soon as we can. So they've been doing the remote counseling for the Youth Commission, and they are now, the youth services is all one department, which has rec department, and the youth services are all under Matt as well. And working with Matt has been terrific. He's taken on a lot, getting to know what the Stoughton Youth Commission does. We have a new board this year, and I think we're getting breathing in some new life to the program, and we're trying to think outside the box in ways that we can possibly integrate some rec services with some kids from the Youth Commission that may like to participate in some of the rec services, and just kind of include them where they can be where they want to be included and maybe financially be able to support people that can't maybe.
Well, let me get you in a little bit of good trouble because we have about 2 minutes. I want to
Okay.
get you into a little bit of good trouble.
Uh-oh.
Are there any other, if you had your druthers, if you had your wish list, is there any funding or something that you would want to see funding on that either now is not funded or is not funded to a particular level? You know, so I'll tell Robin it was me that started this, but you know, because I know how this process works. But again, you are, you know, you've been in this business for a number of years. You've been in the government here for a number of years. Is it just a wish list that you had, particularly after you've had to go through this pandemic?
Well, one thing that we've been talking about funding, and we were looking at see if we could do fundraising, where for those population of, when we're talking the youth, some of the kids that may come from families that can't afford some of the programming that, you know, I know sometimes it's just a minimal amount of expense, but maybe some sort of little support that we can give some of the kids to be able to join in with camp or do some different kinds of activities such as that. And also on the senior side, we've had, and as soon as we start up with the trips that we do, the bus trips, there are a few people that want to attend bus trips that really need to have a one-on-one person with them. And we were trying to think of ways that if we had a little fund that we could send like a person to accompany somebody on some of those trips, somebody that might be wheelchair bound that still wants to go but may need some help navigating. So those are the kinds of things I would like to maybe see some kind of funding for.
Well, let's do this. Let's have a conversation offline. We'd have some thoughts. That's the reason why I want to ask you, because sometimes you feel that it can't happen, but I'm a believer it can. We have businesses in town that are supportive. We have organizations like Amazon. There's an approach that we may have to look at, obviously with Robin's approval. But our time is drawing to an eye, Janiece. I just think that your leadership and what you've expressed here with regards to the VNA, the Council on Aging, and the Youth Commission is extraordinary. Keep up the good work. Let's get the, what they call it, herd immunity. Let's get there as far as in Stoughton, and let's definitely have this conversation offline. So thank you for being on Community Forum, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thank you, Joseph. It was great. Thank you.